Happy, beautiful day. It's Pete Cohen here. It is the Pete Cohen podcast. This is episode 4 of a series of 4 podcasts around goal setting and making 2020 the best year that you've ever had in your entire life. Get ready for some more inspirational information to really help you feel good about where you are, where you're going, and to do something you've never done before. To boldly go where you've not gone before. I'll see you after the theme tune. The big question is, how are some people in the world today creating the results they want with their health, wealth, and happiness? What exactly are these people doing? This podcast will give you the answers and inspire you to live the life that you want today. Happy, beautiful day. Pete Cohen here, just having a bit of a sip of my coffee. Excuse me, that was really rude. I could have had that before I started, couldn't I? But please excuse me, because coffee is just one thing that I don't think I'll ever give up, which is kind of bizarre, really, because it was not that long ago that I would never in my wildest of dreams have ever imagined myself drinking coffee, but I changed. And you need to change if you really want to do something different to what you have right here, right now. And I think we all need to wake up to really what needs to change and what we need to let go of. Today, we're looking at the 4th podcast in a series of 4 about goal setting. And we're going to look at how to stay motivated every single day. Do you notice the way I said motivated in a kind of an American accent? Why? Well, I think that the whole motivation movement, positive personal development kind of really started off in America, but it really didn't start off in America. The whole thing around being optimistic and thinking in a certain way, and definitely the benefits of thinking in a more forward-thinking way, has been around for a long time. It was 2,500 years ago that man invented meditation. Why? Well, there was a need for it. Man doesn't tend to develop things that weren't needed. But of course, we've now moved into a completely different world where most of us are not driven by what we need. Most of us are driven by what we want. And the fact is we need to exercise, we need to eat greens, but we don't want to. So in many cases, we don't do it. And we're living in a world that is designed to trap us. We're living in a world that basically is wanting us to spend money. We're living in a world that is taking us down a road that most of us will one day wish we hadn't gone down that road. Now, that might sound a little bit far-fetched. It might sound a little bit heavy. You might not want to hear that, actually, because when this podcast goes out, it's going to be like a week or just a few days till Christmas. So, that's a time where we want to be giving, and many people are just giving stuff they don't actually really have to give, and they're giving things that people don't really actually really want or need. And oh, Pete, why are you talking this way? Can you be a bit more optimistic? Of course I can, because the greatest gift that we can give anyone this Christmas is to give them our space, is to give them our love, to give them our kindness. And the greatest gift we can give ourselves is for us to think about, okay, what's just around the corner? Well, it's another opportunity, right? I mean, for me, months were made by men. The whole year thing was made by people, but we all buy into it. The fact that, okay, it's January. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean for you? What do you want it to mean? And the reason I'm sounding like this is I think we've got an incredible opportunity right now to do something awesome and make next year the best year we've ever had. But what would that look like? And why would we want to do anything? Or why not just carry on doing what we have been doing? Why not? Why not just have a similar year? For me, personally, this year has been pretty challenging on a number of fronts. And there are certain things that I am addressing, and there are certain things I want to do next year that are going to require a different type of motivation, a different type of energy, a different type of focus, a different type of support. And maybe the best thing is just to think, you know what, it's just not worth it. Maybe it's just best to, but I don't believe that. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong to look at every human being that I meet and just to see something in them that maybe they don't always see in themselves. It's the ability to do something great. It's the ability to take an idea and do something with it. And I don't know whether you've got any ideas. You got any bright ideas? Have you got any bright ideas about where you'd like to be in 365 days with your health? It's funny, actually, because I've actually got a magic wand in my hand. And it might sound like in fact, I'm actually going to take a picture of myself because one day you can look back when this podcast goes live and you can see, I'll put it on Instagram, and you can see me holding a magic wand. I just took the picture. I'll just take another one. There you go. So I've got a magic wand in my hand, and if you had a magic wand in your hand and it really worked, and you could literally shebang, and you could literally, hey presto, what would you want a hey presto for you to have? Now you could probably say, well, Pete, I'd want millions of pounds and a massive house and blah, blah, blah. But really, 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 what would you want? Would you not want to make an impact? Would you not want to be stronger? Would you not want to have more energy? Would you want to have better relationships with the people that mean something to you? Would you not want to be cooking some amazing food? Would you not like to have built your business to have so it's more effective, it's more profitable? Well, of course you would like the magic wand to be waved, but unfortunately that hasn't happened yet. But it kind of has happened because we can imagine it. And this is the greatest gift that we've all been given. It's the ability to imagine. And if you can imagine something in front of you, it's possible. It's absolutely possible. In the last podcast, we were talking about how to stay distracted from your distractions, because this is a sickness that most of us have right now, even keeping people's attention. I heard recently that on Facebook and even on LinkedIn, people don't look at videos for more than like 15 seconds before they go and look at something else. Apparently, podcasts are a little bit different in terms of some people do listen from start to finish because it's engaging another part of their brain. You can't see what I'm saying, but you can see what I'm saying because some of you are picturing in your head me sitting behind a microphone, or maybe you're picturing your future when I talk about your future. Because in the podcast before that, the second one in this series of 4, we talked about having a 2020 vision, being very clear as to what's in front of you and wanting to go after it. You see, when I talked at the beginning of this podcast about the fact that personal development and positivity and all this stuff has been around for a long time, but it was different back then because when this kind of concepts were designed, it was designed that, look, if you want to go out and make something happen, you need to think about it in a certain way that is driving emotion inside you that motivates you to move forwards. And yes, we'll start talking about motivation in a moment. The first podcast was the formula for success. What is the formula? What is that formula of understanding what you want? And what I really dived into in that podcast was about emotion. You can set goals and they can engage a part of your brain which is, oh yeah, set this goal, blah, 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 blah. And you can look good on paper and you can maybe feel good because you've written it down. But if it doesn't evoke emotion when you don't look at the paper, if you don't feel positive about what you're about to do. So for us in our business, we want to take our business to a whole new level. We want it to become a machine that really just operates in a way that is delivering a better service to our customers, the customers who come to us for our tools, our strategies, our protocols, our workshops. We want to provide a better service. We want to take it to a whole new level. And that's something that we've already started because we realize what we have now isn't as good as what it could be. So what I'm trying to say is that the reason why a lot of us find it really hard to be motivated is there's no emotion behind it. If you're not driven by a compelling vision of something that is in front of you, you will just give in to temptation. And I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. If you look at people and you see what's driving them, in many cases it is fear, it is desperation. And that's not a bad driver. What will motivate most people to go into a gym on Monday or the first Monday of January? It's the fact that they've eaten too much, drunk too much, and now they feel that, I've got to do something about it. And they'll do something about it just for a little time until they get bored or until they get comfortable or until they're not in as much pain as they were in and they go back to what they were doing before. And I don't know how many of you have seen that film with Bill Murray, Groundhog Day. That's how it's going to be for some of us. What about you? You see, with the podcast that we put out there, I'm just committed to putting stuff out there that maybe inspires you. I don't know how you're feeling right now, but maybe you're feeling like someone's having having a bit of a go at you, but maybe having a go at you so you can see things differently. My coach, who I worked with for many years, it was really tough working with him at times because he was so comfortable in his own skin. He was just an incredible human being. I would often feel uncomfortable in his presence because I could almost see my own reflection. I could see myself when I was looking at him, and I could see things in myself that I thought, you know what? I don't like that part of me. I don't like my sometimes impulsiveness. I don't like how I think sometimes. I don't like the fact that I'm talking to him and I know that I'm not really here because I'm thinking about something else. And he was kind enough to work with me for 16 years of my life for me to become the person that I am now, but I'm still becoming that person. So when we look at motivation, and I'd love you guys to have a different understanding of what that word means, and also to know what you can do to keep yourself on track, because you're going to come off the tracks. There's a film, American Werewolf in London. I'm not asking you to go out and watch this film where two Americans, they're in York, I think they're on the Yorkshire Moors, and they're in this pub, proper English pub, and they're about to leave, and the barman says, basically, look, just stick to the road. Stick to the road. And they're off, they're walking, they're sticking to the road. They forget what they're doing, and then before they know it, they're on this grass. And then they hear a werewolf, and the rest is history. The dangers of coming off the path aren't that you are going to become a werewolf, but it's the path of least resistance. It's the path of, and it's the oldest story of humanity, of man being tempted to move away from where he really could be. And I would love all of you just to think, maybe now is the time, but don't wait until the new year. What can you do now? You just think about what's happening in the next few days. You'll just see so many people having an extra glass of wine, having an extra pint of beer, having an extra mince pie. And then I'm sure they'll enjoy it in many cases, but they'll regret it. Regret. And of course, we should all be doing what we need to do. But what do we really need to do? And what are you here to do? You see, the word motivation, when you really look up the word, it's providing a reason for doing something, a motive. We should never ask anyone to do anything that we're not prepared to do ourselves. That's one of my principles that I live by. And it's to cause someone, as one of the greatest things you see in leaders, great leaders who will do whatever they ask the people they lead, to provide a reason for doing something and to cause someone to behave in a particular way. Now think about that for a moment. For you to stay motivated to whatever it is that you're working on, that every day you need to provide yourself a reason for doing it. And to cause someone to behave in a particular way. And I think not to cause anybody else, to cause you to behave in a particular way. And there are many ways you can look at this. The way I invite you to is just to think about this. Okay, in a year's time, which isn't that long away, where would you like to be? What would you like to have done? What would you like to have achieved? How would you like to feel with those three big areas that we talk about a lot, with your health, your relationships, your business, and maybe to get excited about it? What would that look like if I could transport you into the future and you've really gone to work on yourself and you've done things, especially when you didn't feel like it, and you've really gone to work on closing the gap, right? Mind the gap, as they say on the tube in London, mind the gap, because there is a gap, right? And filling in that gap every day is like stepping out of mediocrity. The great life that we all have the opportunity to lead doesn't come to us. It is effort. It is action. It is conviction. It is determination. It's pride. It's movement, motive, moving forwards every day, especially when, did I just hear someone say something? Especially when you don't feel like it, right? Hear my voice in your head right now going, now's the time to do it. Let's go. Now's the time to do it. Let's go. Now is the time to do it. Let's go. Now. When? Right now. How many times between when this ends, this podcast, and over the next 365 days, are you going to not feel like doing something and you're not going to do it, knowing that if you did do it, you'd feel better for having done it? If we all became more committed to the sense of achieving things, especially when we don't feel like it. It's a wonderful feeling. And the law of aggregation is so powerful, even to someone like me who doesn't particularly like numbers, finds maths hugely challenging. Just think about it. You want £5 million in cash right now, or do you want a penny a day and I'll double it every day for a month? Which one do you want? Well, I've mentioned this on the previous podcast. If it was 31 days, you'd have close to £11 million. That's a lot of money, right? That's what happens when we compound something over time. And New Year's resolutions will last for many people for a day, a week, a month. But invariably, most people go back to what they know. And if you're comfortable with that and you're fine with that, and I really want to point this out because there's a few people I know recently who have had incredible success and they've undone it. And when they start again, it's almost like a bit harder because there's a part of the brain that goes, what's the point of doing this? We're only going to end up back at square one again. Just stay where we are. This is easier. It's easy. Silence. Just because I believe in you and just because my gift in life has always been to see the greatness in people. Now, within that greatness, there is always the opportunity for us to sabotage ourselves, always the opportunity to become addicted to certain things. And the time's running out. Maybe you're hearing a different message. Maybe you're hearing a message which is, well, if we're just driven to move forwards every day, then what about actually enjoying the day, right? If you're saying that, that's a great consideration. For me, it's more about doing what you need to do so you can enjoy what you do where you are more, doing things in a way that builds something for your future. Of course, success without fulfillment is failure. That's what Tony Robbins has said, to achieve and just to be focused on just the achievement. For me, it's much more than that. It's just the recognition of there are certain things that maybe you'd like to do and achieve and a legacy you'd like to leave behind, and recognizing that the certain things, if you do every day, will give you a feeling of accomplishment that will make living in the moment that much more enjoyable. If you don't believe me, don't do any exercise for the next few days and just see how that affects you. And then do it and see how that affects you. That it makes you more present. That when you're working on the things that you love to work on, and how much better you feel for having done it. I want to thank every single one of you who has taken the time to come on this epic quest with me for the last however long, whether this is the first Pete Cohen podcast you've listened to, or it's the 220th that you've listened to, or 223 of our commitment to work with you, our commitment to help you move forwards, our commitment to give you solutions to some of the challenges that you face. And if you're serious about going into this, I mean, in a bit more detail, in January with our coaching community, we're going to really bring some of what we've been saying here to life and provide you with an environment and a platform and tools to really go to work on yourself. And if that's you, then I personally, me, Pete Cohen, personally inviting you, been doing this for a long time, know what works and how to help people just like you get the results that you're looking for, then I dare you. But you won't feel like it, so you probably won't do it. But this is real. I dare you to go to this domain, coaching.petecohen, COHEN.com. coaching.petecohen.com. Go there now and watch our 3 secrets video, how to take the lead in your life and become a winner with your health, your wealth, and your happiness. Go and watch it. Give yourself 40 minutes of your valuable time. And then on the back of that, you can make an appointment to speak to me in person. And we can talk about where you are right now And what is the strategy? What is the approach to help you go from where you are to where you want to be? That's what a coach does. The purpose of your life, all of our lives, is to grow. The purpose of our life is to evolve, is to experience. That is what we are here to do. We are what the Greeks called teleological. In order for us to create a life that is impactful, that is meaningful, that makes a difference, it requires what? Discipline. It actually requires you learning some skills around things like confidence and mindfulness, learning stuff that we should not be having this conversation, right? Because you should have learned all of this stuff at school to the point where you'd conditioned yourself to keep moving forwards and take on the challenges that most of us face, but we haven't. We didn't. We learned stuff which was just useless, outdated system. If you want to go to work on a 365, on really doing something awesome, just make that call. And if you don't, and you're still inspired, do whatever you need to do. I believe in you. I will always be here for you as long as I've got any breath in my body. And I really do wish you, if this is the last podcast that you listen to before the festive period really kicks in, to go out there and love others, give to yourself, and make the world a better place, because the world needs you like never before. The world needs you to be happy, to be healthy, and to confidently move forwards in a direction that you want to go. Thank you so much for listening. I absolutely love every single one of you. Go to coaching.petecohen.com. Don't do it now, do it right now. Much love. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you want to find out what life coaching can do for you with me, Pete Cohen, then simply visit petecohen.com/coaching and book a free strategy call, and we can help you find out exactly what it is that you want and help you put a plan in place to create the future that you want today.